office, Mac and Jerry. And Mac and Jerry, I've already unmuted you from my side, so all you have to do is unmute yourselves and I will hand it over.
Okay, thank you very much. And if I could get you to move to the next slide there, Diana. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Jerry Scott. I'm the project manager for this analysis we will introduce today. I handle the multimodal data coordination for the department. This includes identifying, coordinating, and establishing data efficiencies, the department multimodal data, and technology for programs, studies, plans, models, and databases. Makaran Gawade, our consultant with HDR, is providing the analysis and interpretations of any findings, aka all the heavy lifting for this project. Next slide, please. So the purpose of the project is to analyze statewide commodity flows. The freight industry has changed, as we all know, over the last few years due to the emergence of e-commerce, distribution centers, etc. We will create a report detailing Florida's freight and commodities as it relates to the transportation system. The units of measure to be covered are annual short tons, estimated truck and rail car counts, estimated dollar value of the goods shipped in 2018, with forecast of 2030 and 2045 traffic levels, and we'll wrap that up with Waybill data. Analysis will occur on Information Handling Services Global Commodity Flow Data, so IHS, to develop a statewide commodity flow profile. HDR will be working with IHS to provide freight data analysis for FDOT freight data business requirements. I just want to spell out that no data will be purchased for this project. IHS uses a data-intensive model to create a highly detailed picture of freight traffic activity throughout the country. The process utilizes a multitude of public and private data sources that measure industrial supply and demand factors. While supply and demand of specific industries and commodities by county of production and consumption serve as the foundation of the processing, the final resulting freight flows are also based on a sample consisting of approximately 50 million freight shipment records on an origin to destination basis that are provided by major motor carriers and railroads. Next slide, please. The consultant team will perform freight data analysis activities, i.e. commodity flows, including analyzing freight activity data for the state of Florida, covering modal movements that originate, terminate, or transit in or through the state and at the county levels. The consultant will analyze the commodity flow movement and perform statistical analysis of commodities at the 4-digit Standard Transportation Commodity Code, STCC level, which will include the following transportation modes: rail car load, intermodal, for-hire truckload, and less than truckload, private truck, air, and water. The analysis will account for import and export activities. The Surface Transportation Board, STB, Waybill data will be provided by FDOT to develop the rail component of commodity flow information. We will also provide the consultant team access to traffic data to support data validations. Next slide, please. For the project deliverables, the consultant will provide a report summarizing the freight and commodities across Florida's transportation system. This will include several brochures for public consumption detailing each county's freight profile in Florida. The project will wrap up by the end of January and will be posted on our multimodal webpage. From here, I pass the mic to Mac to cover the analysis that has occurred, and I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jerry. Hello, everyone. So from here on, I will basically just present some of the findings of our analysis. For me, it's sort of the fun stuff. So this slide is something which basically is already covered by Jerry, but just wanted to spell out a few things that the data which we received was, it's something called as Transearch. It's a commodity flow data. We have the information for 2018 as the base year, and we also have received forecast information for 2030 and 2045. This information is basically an OD matrix where we have the numbers or the tonnage movements between a given Florida county to another Florida county, or other parts of the country as well. So we have the movements for inbound, outbound, any intrastate movements, any through traffic movements. And it's all broken down further, actually. It's broken down by modes: truck, rail, water, air. Um, and the good thing is it gives you not only the tonnage numbers, but also from the point of view of commodity value. So, and also in form of units. So, but these units measurement is only limited to trucks and rail. So if it is a truck mode, it's basically number of trucks, or if it is rail, then it's basically number of carloads. And it is further broken down into different commodity types. So as Jerry pointed out, we have it broken down by either 2-digit STCC codes or by 4-digit STCC codes as well. So it's pretty thorough in the amount of information it can provide. So into the next slide. So from here on, I'm basically going to present some interesting analysis outcomes. This slide basically is talking about how much tonnage is being exported out of Florida counties to another other part of this of the country, and that's around 74 million tons, which is equivalent to 137 billion. Similarly, almost double of that is imported to Florida counties, which is something which is a common knowledge. Florida is still a predominantly consumer state. What is interesting is almost 250 million tons are contributing to intrastate movement. So from one county to some other county in the state itself, and almost 100 million tons are intra-county, which is within the county. So short haul movement. So going to the next slide. So the next few slides, I am basically highlighting few results related to commodities. So what you are seeing here are the top 5 interstate export commodities and top 5 interstate import commodities. And what I mean by interstate is commodities moving from one county in state of Florida to outside Florida. So that's why it is called interstate. And these numbers basically are highlighting what form the top 5 commodities in the state. So obviously for our needs, we can definitely look further. We can break it down to top 10. We can go even further by breaking it down to 4-digit STCC code. So for example, the fourth export commodity is petroleum or coal products. That can be broken down further into just petroleum products and coal products, or there might be some other categories within that commodity type as well. So there is a flexibility to look into some analysis. So next slide. These are the ones which show up as top 5 intrastate. So this is something which is within the state, and what you see on the right hand side is top 5 intra-county movements. I am not going to go into too much detail because they are pretty self-explanatory, which are the top commodities. Going to the next slide. So we did the same analysis looking at it from the point of view of the county. So what you saw earlier was for the whole state. What you're seeing here are the top counties from the point of view of exports. And again, this is only based on tonnage. On the left-hand side, that's what you're seeing. And the ones which you see are expected, like Miami-Dade, Hillsborough, Duval, they show up as the top exports from tonnage point of view. Similarly, on the right-hand side, you see county imports, and out here you see Hillsborough, Broward, Palm Beach, Duval. These are the ones which show up as the top import commodities. Go to the next slide. Similarly, we can also do this, break it down by modal splits. So this is something, again, which is expected. What you're seeing here is on the left-hand side, you are seeing a modal split of the total tonnage in the state, which is around 589 million. And truck is the dominant one, obviously, which is followed by rail and water and then air. And then others are basically foreign trade zones. And on the right-hand side, that's basically a modal split for the forecasted numbers, which is 785 million tons. The split is similar, so not a huge difference. if you go to the next slide, which is for the modal split by value, this is where it changes because, as expected, air is basically shipping more higher value products. So you see air having a bigger pie here rather than what you saw in the tonnage. And similarly, truck still dominates, but rail and air are also showing a bigger share here. Go to the next slide. So from here on, we are basically showing some other opportunities and avenues where we can leverage this information. And one of them is empty trucks. And this has been an issue and has been highlighted in multiple plans across the state today. And the data provides us opportunities to look at the empty truck trips and empty truck miles using this information. So as you can see here, again, this is for the whole state. So this can be further broken down by the counties as well. So out here, what you're seeing is almost 30% of truck trips moving out of state are empty, and 17% of truck trips moving in the state are empty. So there is definitely an imbalance there where you're seeing higher truck trip movement out of the states being empty. And the next two the third and the fourth factoid are basically laying out the same thing, but from the point of view of truck miles. So on the right hand side, the graph basically is highlighting something similar, where you are seeing those numbers. Obviously, the intrastate movements and intra-county movements are where you see a higher percentage of empty truck trips, and that's expected because that's a short haul movement. So you are expecting when the truck is coming back to its origin location, more or less it might be empty. So that's, but still it's pretty high. It's almost 50% of those truck trips are empty. Going to the next slide. So summarizing what you saw on the earlier page, as expected, half of those intrastate trips are and 40% of intrastate truck miles are empty. So that's what is on the graph on the earliest page. Intra-county movements are even higher when you consider empty trucks. So that's almost 56%. And again, this is something which is expected because it includes short haul and day trips. On the map which you are seeing there on the right hand side, it's basically helping us to tell a story for every county. And what it is telling you is if it was an interstate truck trip, how many percentage empty truck trips are going out of the state? And if it was intrastate, how many percentage empty truck trips are there? So you can clearly see that when it is an intrastate movement, there is a higher percentage of empty truck trips on the left, but interstate they are a little lower than that. So, but still, in the larger scheme, it's still a higher number. Next slide. Yeah. So from here on, basically, I have highlighted 3 commodities, and the good thing about this information is there is opportunity to look at all commodities. So this one is basically showing citrus fruits as an example, and we basically took an example of citrus fruit because it's a well-known commodity for Florida. Florida is only second only to Brazil in orange juice production. It's a huge industry. It's employing almost 76,000 Floridians. But the data or the analysis which we acquired from this information was that Florida counties are exporting almost 2.14 million tons of citrus fruit, which is equivalent to 0.86 billion. So, and it is forecasted to grow, and it's forecasted to grow from 2.14 to 3.71. And the major counties are Polk County, Henry County, Highlands, DeSoto, Hardy. These are the ones which are the major export counties for the state. And it kind of correlates with what we found from some other data sets. And the benefactors of all the citrus fruits are Texas, New York, Pennsylvania, California. So all the major states are basically benefiting from all the citrus fruit from the state. Can you go to the next slide? This is another example which is for lumber and wood products. Again, a very important industry for Florida. It basically we export almost 9.3 million tons of this product, which is equivalent to 5 billion. Most of it is hauled by trucks, but there is still rail and water modes used for hauling or basically shipping some of these products out of the state. It is expected to grow from 9.3 million tons to 10.61. So, and again, right-hand side map shows which are the top commodities. Like Jackson County is the top one when it comes to lumber or wood products. Taylor, Polk County in the south, Dixie are the major ones. The benefactors for this lumber or wood products are more or less the states which are close to us. And again, something which is expected because they are in closer proximity to us. So it makes more logical sense that these are the states which are benefiting from all the lumber or wood product from our counties. So the last slide, which basically is looking at coal imports, and again, this is a different story here because these are being imported into Florida. Again, we don't have any coal reserves, so almost all are imported to Florida counties. And this industry is forecasted to decrease, and from 10.1 million to 3.2. So, and that's a trend which we are seeing. So, Diana, can you go to the next slide and can you pull up one of the freight profiles, and we can just quickly go over the freight profiles.
Sure. Let me pull it up now.
When will we get copies of these slides?
We will post the slide to the website after the meeting.
Yeah, I can't help but feel, as I mentioned the other day, that these tie into the parking issues. I mean, certainly, if you don't have a place to reload, you end up deadheading back. And it would sure be nice to be able to fill up every truck that comes in here with something going back.
Mac, I'm sorry. Something happened to my brochures during this meeting, so I'm not going to be able to pull them up.
Okay.
But I think we can move on to if there are any questions. Mac, are you there?
This is Jerry. I was just going to say that once we've concluded this project, we'll definitely send the products to the whole group. So any of the brochures that we create, you'll definitely see them.
Great information.
I have a quick question. Are you tracking the routes that the trucks take, as well as the fact that they enter the state? And are you able to tell what routes they take once they enter the state, or where they're coming from before they leave the state?
Right now, from the initial analysis, we don't have access to that, but we can definitely inquire about and see if we can get access to that information as well.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions from the group here?
This is really something.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you, guys.
Yeah, if you could get that information, thanks. It's John again. Just because that would help in the efforts to interconnect the ports with the road system, to look at transfer between one intermodal center and another. I think in which roads we're using most, which ones we're overusing, and probably make a case for some of the other projects that we've been looking at for a number of years, like the CORS projects, the MCORS, et cetera. So if you can do that, thank you.
This is Robert, I got one, just one point here. Does this take into consideration of the growth of e-commerce, the rapid growth of e-commerce, and the amount of trucks that are we're moving throughout the state now due to e-commerce?
Yes, it has. But I think the forecast does include that, but it can definitely be improved upon in the next few years, because we are seeing the forecasts are good, but they will change pretty quickly, right? So right now the forecasts do include e-commerce, but I do see a potential of revising them in maybe 5 years from now. But yes, but for your question, yes, it is including e-commerce.
Thank you.
All right, just given